Welcome to Raving Ryan. I'm your host, Ryan Anastasio. Today I have a very special guest, the co-host of CBS This Morning and editor-at-large of the Oprah magazine, Gayle King. Miss King, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm very fine, Ryan. Really good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So I want to talk about a lot. I want to talk about your life, how you got into journalism, especially I want to focus on your 18 years at WFSB in Connecticut, and then a little about the modern news environment. So you were born in Maryland, but you moved around a lot as a child, even spent several years in Ankara, Turkey.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, especially what it was like living in Turkey?
Well, I really envy people who were born and raised in fill in the blank. Were you born and raised in Connecticut?
Yes, I was.
See, I think that's awesome because I don't have stories of born and raised anywhere. We traveled a lot. I was actually born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I was only there for 18 months. Okay. And then we lived in Washington, D.C., Maryland. And so we moved to Turkey from sixth grade. I was there from first grade to sixth grade. So my childhood was being overseas. So for vacation, we would go to Paris, we would go to Greece. And I have very clear memories, Ryan, of going to see the Acropolis in Greece and saying to my dad, why can't we just go back to the hotel and go swimming? We're just looking at a bunch of rocks. So note to self, when you're a child and you get the opportunity to travel, go with your mom and dad wherever that is. So I've really had sort of a very eclectic childhood in my life. I don't have a born and raised story.
Yes, and then you moved back to Maryland after living in Turkey, and you attended the University of Maryland, and you studied psychology and sociology, which I thought was interesting because you went into journalism. And you got your first job as a production assistant at a local news station in Baltimore. What attracted you to the news business, and what was it like getting into the news business at that time?
I can tell you exactly what it was. I majored in psychology because, Ryan, little known fact, I love listening to people's problems. And I'm very good at giving unsolicited advice, as my favorite son and favorite daughter will tell you. So I really thought I was going to be a child psychologist or I was going to be a lawyer. But I was working part-time at a TV station when I was in school. They had a breaking news story in Washington, D.C., and I became fascinated with how quickly people sprang into action. To see people running around to get the news on the air was very fascinating to me. So by then it was my junior year and I was in psychology. In order to get a journalism class, I would have had to stay another 2 years. I did not want to do that. I was ready to go from college, even though I liked University of Maryland very, very much. So I became hooked by the fast pace of television news. I became hooked by the immediacy, and I became hooked by we get to tell you stuff that's happening in the world. Even today, I have a TV in every single room in my house, including the bathroom. TV in every single room in my house. First thing I do when I come home is turn on the TV because I like to know instantly what is going on.
Yeah.
You seem to have that bug too.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I love the news.
The news.
Yeah, I love the news.
Well, what do you like about the news?
Well, I think it's just, I like the fast-pacedness of it.
Me too. And also, Ryan, we get to know stuff. A lot of times, we get to find out things before anybody else does. Yeah. So imagine
nothing better than breaking news.
Nothing better than breaking news. And Lord, don't let it be live. Nothing better than live breaking news. We get to be the first person to tell you about it. That feeling still never gets old to me.
Yeah, so in Baltimore, you worked at the same station as a person named Oprah Winfrey.
Who?
Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
And you were both two young African-American women in a news business that was dominated by older white men.
Yes.
Can you tell me about the time you met Oprah and how the friendship has evolved?
Yes. Let me just say this to you. Older white men are everywhere. They're still everywhere we look. We see older white men. So here Oprah and I are. We're 21 and 22 in the newsroom at WBC.
She was an anchor then.
She was an anchor at 22. Wow. And I was 21, and in newsroom hierarchy, mine was an entry-level position, as it is the case in most newsrooms. And she was 22, the newsroom hierarchy, I'm here, she's here. And we became friends because I ended up spending the night with her because there was a snowstorm one night. And we found out that we had very similar philosophies about life and very similar philosophies about people. And we've been friends ever since that night.
Yeah, so before working at CBS This Morning, you were known, a lot of people knew you as Oprah's best friend.
Yes.
But besides in Connecticut.
They still know me as that.
Yeah, so when I did this interview, a lot of people said, oh, that's Oprah's best friend. But,
yes.
Even though now we see you every morning on CBS This Morning, you do a great job. Has it ever bothered you when people refer to you as Oprah's best friend instead of Gayle King, the anchor of CBS This Morning?
Well, let me ask you, would it bother you if people knew you as Oprah's best friend?
I don't think so.
See, why would it bother me? Yeah. I mean, I say this all the time. People go, oh my God, it must be so hard for you. It isn't hard for me. And the reason why it's not hard for me is because A, I really love my life. There really is only one Oprah. I've never tried to be Oprah. And I see myself as standing in her light, not in her shadow. So no, that doesn't bother me at all. It is interesting. I mean, I was at the airport. I went to NBA All-Star, Charlotte, North Carolina. I was there this weekend, and somebody said, "Hey, it's Gayle, Oprah's best friend." I mean, so no matter where I go, and then people say, "Oh yeah, and you work at CBS too." I mean, so that's always the headline, and that's okay with me.
Yeah, so after Baltimore, you worked in both Washington, D.C. and Kansas City. But you didn't really settle down until you came to WFSB Channel 3 in Connecticut in 1981, and you spent 18 years there. What
It's the longest I've lived everywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
So I lived in Hamden. Have you heard of Hamden?
Yes, my mom was born there.
Oh, Hampton. Okay. Orpington Street. Hamden. Have you heard of Newington? I lived there. Meriden. Have you heard there? Glastonbury.
Yep.
So, of the 169 towns in the state of Connecticut, I've lived in 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I think I know that state very, very well. Connecticut is the longest I've lived anywhere. So I feel it's my first, it's the first time where I'd worked in Kansas City for 3 years. So I had it was my second job in TV news. I got married there. I got divorced there. I had 2 children there. So for me, Connecticut is still a very special place for me. I still have a 203 telephone number.
Really? Wow. Did you like the stability and the sense of community at a local news station there in Connecticut? Because when you're at a local news station, you're going out to fundraisers, meeting the people of Connecticut. It's not as much like that today at CBS.
Well, I tell anybody that's trying to get in this business, get yourself who's starting out. Get yourself in a great local TV market because you get to do everything. And you become a sense of the community there. So yeah, I would go to the post office. It was Caesar at the post office who knew my name. I'd go to Stop and Shop. The people knew me there. You go to the dry cleaners, people know you. So you really do feel, I felt, in local news, a real sense of community. I felt like Connecticut was my home. Connecticut residents were my people. And I think when you're on a national level, it's not really the hometown feel that I so enjoyed in Connecticut. It's different, but it ain't bad. It ain't bad.
So while working at Channel 3, you also did some work for the Oprah Winfrey Show and even hosted your own daytime talk show.
Yeah.
But you decided to leave after 18 years in 1999. Why did you decide to leave, and do you miss Connecticut?
I miss Connecticut. You know what I miss? I really miss my house. I lived in Greenwich, too. That's another city I lived in. What I miss having a yard. Yeah. I live in the city. I don't have outdoor space. It's a very lovely apartment. I'm not knocking my apartment. But I miss being able to walk outside in a yard and put, your toes in grass. I miss, Ryan, getting in the car, going into the garage, and driving. Whether you're just going to get gas, whether you're going to the grocery store, I miss that. But, Connecticut will always, always be home for me. But why did I leave? I was in the process. I was about to re-sign another contract with Channel 3 after being there for 18 years. And Oprah was doing a magazine in New York, and she said, "Hey, they're asking me at Hearst for someone," because Oprah she was always going to live in Chicago. They want somebody who knows my voice, who knows me, who can execute the vision. And they asked about you, and I told them, no, there's no way she'd ever leave TV. So she was actually calling me, Ryan, to say, "Who do you think that knows me really well? But who do you think?" And so I go, "Well, what about?" And I named a couple of names. She went, "No." Then the next morning I woke up and I go, "Well, why wouldn't I want to try that?" So I called her and I said, "Let me check that out. I'll go and see what it is." And I came to New York, and I really did believe that I could add value to the magazine. And that's why I decided to leave. It's not because I was tired of television. It wasn't that. Just that I thought, okay, I don't mind trying something new.
Yeah, and you while at the Oprah magazine, you also hosted a show on Sirius XM.
Yes.
And eventually in 2012, you were approached by Chris Lick to do CBS This Morning.
I'm here at CBS because of Chris Lick.
Yeah, so
You've heard of him.
Yes.
He's from Connecticut.
Yep, he started Morning Joe.
Yes.
He's at Stephen Colbert now, right?
Chris Lick's record is pretty good. Did you know he's from Connecticut?
I did not know that.
You didn't?
No.
Ryan, I'm telling you something you didn't know?
Yeah, it's news.
Oh, God, I feel honored about that. Because you are so damn thorough. I can tell. You've done your stuff.
Yes.
But Chris Lick is from Newtown. Okay. He's from Newtown, yeah.
Can you tell me how CBS This Morning started and when you were first approached and what you thought of it?
Well, I was very happy doing my radio show because I love radio. To this day, I still miss radio. Why do I miss radio? Because people were calling in. You could give your opinion. And Ryan, as you know, I got lots of opinions. On CBS This Morning, you're not supposed to express your opinion. Sometimes that's very difficult. Sometimes I'm literally biting the inside of my cheek because there's something I want to say, but I know people aren't watching me to hear my opinion.
You'd be good on cable news at night.
Yes, I know. Wouldn't it? I would be great on cable news at night where you could give your opinion. But people are calling in. You get to have a good exchange with people. And I was doing a show on Oprah's network on OWN. So I was really happy with my life. I wasn't looking for a job. Chris Lick called me. I'd met him because I'd been a guest on Morning Joe a few times, and he was familiar with me and familiar with my work. And he said, we're thinking about starting something new. They had always had a morning news show here at CBS This Morning. But they said, we're going to be making some changes. I want to know if you're interested. But he wouldn't tell me who else was going to be anchoring. He wouldn't tell me. I said, well, I can't make a decision unless I know who it is. Long story short, I end up on CBS This Morning because of Chris Licht, and I'm really glad. And I think that we are, for the first time in a very long time, competitive in the morning news business. In the beginning, Ryan, when we were talking about the show, they would always mention Good Morning America and the Today Show. They didn't even mention us. At least now they're mentioning us.
Yeah, so the show has been done very well, and the ratings have been up. You guys aren't number one yet, but you're getting there,
Yes.
I think.
Yes, we're not number one yet, but that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, and the show is very different from
We work very hard.
Yeah, it's different from like the Today Show. You're not doing cooking segments and weather. It's really just a hard news show. Do you think that's really what we need at this time of day?
Well, you know what I think? I think the beauty of morning TV is there's something for everybody. But, you know, I mentioned that I was in Charlotte. People stop me at the airport. Wherever I go, people stop me and say, I'm so glad that you guys are doing real news. I watch because I like to see what you all are doing. So I do know that there's an appetite for that. But I also know that there's an appetite for what they're doing at Good Morning America and what they're doing at the Today Show. I just want people to have a bigger appetite for us. But I know, you know, building ratings and building viewers takes time. People get into habits. Morning TV for a lot of people is a habit. I'm just hoping that your habit will be us. So, you know, we're shaking things up around here, and we will see.
Yeah, so when the show first started, it was three people: you, Erica Hill, and Charlie Rose, and now there are four co-hosts, and it has changed a lot since the beginning of the show.
Yes.
It is not new and there's been a lot of staff shifts lately, and it's not new for a morning show to have staff shifts, especially in Today's Show, if you remember the Ann Curry developments.
Yes.
What has it been difficult for you with all these changes? You're the only one that's been here since the beginning.
I know. Wow, I never thought about that. Sam, did you ever think about that? I never thought about that. I'm the only one who's been here from the beginning. But you're right. Have the changes been hard? Listen, yes, the changes have been hard. The changes have been unexpected. But I also believe that you can't dwell on the changes. You can't dwell on, there's upheaval. We live in a crazy business and a crazy time. There's upheaval. And I think that you just have to roll with the punches. So my thing for everybody that works here, you know, I look around my coworkers at CBS This Morning. I know we have a lot of talented people working really hard and doing a good job. So despite the blows that we've sustained, and we've taken a couple of licks and knocks, as you know, we've had some issues. We've had some issues, Ryan, as you know, very well documented. But my thing is, you know, head up and do your job. I don't even say head down and do your job. I say head up and do your job, because I really am at the end of the day, I'm very proud to work at CBS This Morning and very proud of the work that we do. But have the changes been hard? Yeah, they've been hard.
Yeah, and in 2017, Charlie Rose left the show after the sexual harassment allegations. I remember that morning, and I was totally shocked. I remember you and Nora, you guys were stunned. I remember that morning.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that morning and what it was like for you? Was it hard for you?
Well, it was hard because, you know, Charlie, in addition to being a colleague and a coworker, Charlie Rose was and still is my friend. So that's always hard when you see the charges that were made against Charlie Rose. I think CBS had a decision to make, and they made it. But yeah, that was very difficult because he was a big part of my life, and we are still friends to this day. I still keep in touch with him. But I also took these charges, and still do take the charges very seriously. It's not something that we took lightly here, and everybody realized that action had to be taken, and they did that.
Do you think he'll ever come back on the television?
I don't know. You know, I never say never. I don't think he'll be back at CBS. I don't think that. But to say, will he ever be able to come back to TV? I don't know. I don't know.
Charlie Rose isn't the only one that has left in similar circumstances. Also, the CEO of CBS, Les Moonves, and the 60 Minutes head, Jeff Fager, also left in similar circumstances.
Like I said, we had issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were reports during these times that you were considered leaving the show. Did you ever consider leaving CBS? I know now with the new head, you like it here.
Well, I mean, listen, I've always liked it here. Yeah. I've always liked it here. I'm very excited about Susan Zirinsky, who is now our new president. But, my contract is up in November. And, it's not something that I sit around and dwell on. I say this, I'm open to all possibilities at all times. That's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, and I want to finish up with some personal questions. I know you get asked this a lot. Can you tell us what your daily routine is? I know you get up at 3:22.
3:22, that's when my alarm goes off. The car picks me up at 4:30. Well, the car's out there at 4:30. I don't always get in at 4:30. In fact, I haven't gotten in it at 4:30 for a very long time, but the car's there at 4:30. Come here, go into hair and makeup because I didn't wake up this cute. I know that's probably a surprise to you, but I've been in hair and makeup. It takes a village. We have morning meetings before the show goes on. We do the show, and then we have a meeting after the show to discuss what worked, what didn't, and what we're going to do for the next day. And then after that, I go to my other job at Oprah, the Oprah magazine.
Yeah, you're very busy.
I am busy. I actually have 2 full-time jobs, but listen, the only person I have to take care of is me. I've been divorced since favorite daughter Kirby was 5 and favorite son Will is 4. And, they are grown up and potty trained and employed. Kirby just got engaged. Shout out to Kirby and Virgil. So she just got engaged. So I only have to take care of me. So I don't know how I could do this job. Well, I couldn't do 2 jobs if I had 2 little kids at home, the way Nora does. So I only have to take care of myself.
Yeah, so you're also working at the Oprah magazine. How do you balance your time out?
Well, I never think about how do you balance it. I just figure that you just do it. Women people are always juggling a lot of balls. And when you're doing something that you really enjoy doing and that you really like to do, I always say you just figure it out. So I don't think of how am I balancing this? How is this going to work? Like the minute I leave here, I have to do a series of satellite interviews for the magazine for another project that we're working on. Then I'll go back to the magazine and we've got a series of meetings this afternoon. I mean, my schedule's crazy and it's nuts, but I can tell you, Ryan, I love it. I love it.
I bet you don't get a lot of sleep.
I don't get a lot of sleep. I'm going to tell you how much sleep I got. I wear my new Apple Watch. Listen, if my sleep starts with a 4, if it starts with a 4, which it normally does, that's my life. If it starts with a 5, I'm doing a hula. And even on weekends, my body has sort of adjusted to the schedule. If I can make it till 5:15, I'm very excited. I think I had a good night's sleep. Sleep is something I need to work on. It's not good. And if you've been watching CBS This Morning, it's not healthy not to get a lot of sleep.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, I got your book here, Note to Self. And this is a series that you guys do where a person writes a letter back on their time.
Yes, about their younger self.
Yeah,
I know. I only wrote the introduction.
Yes,
It's not mine. Yeah.
Yeah. But I read a few of them and listened to them. A few that stood out was the Jimmy Green, the Newtown Father, John Lewis, and Joe Biden. I think it's really a great series.
I do too. It's one of my favorite things that we do on CBS This Morning. So we did Michelle Obama.
Yeah, that's all.
Did you see that one? We did Michelle Obama, which I thought was really good. And we're always looking for people to do. And sometimes it's easier for people who don't want to do interviews. They don't want to sit at the table, but they do believe that they have a story to tell. So it works great for that too.
Yes, I want to finish up with a very difficult question. I'm sure you're from Connecticut. You know that we have a lot of good pizza places in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
God, that's hard.
Pepe's or Sally's?
I know in New Haven, I know. But those weren't my favorite. Those weren't my favorite. The one I did have is no longer in business. That's why I'm hesitating. Ask me about a favorite burger. That would be easy.
Favorite hamburger?
Yes, in Connecticut.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Louis Lunch.
Yes! Did you read that somewhere?
No.
Then why did you say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Louis Lunch in New Haven, how did you know? You didn't read that anywhere?
No, I did not.
I don't know if I've ever said that, actually. But Louis Lunch isn't even on a burger. It
No,
isn't
it's
even
on
on a
toast.
bun.
Yeah, I was just there
It's
a few
on
months
bread.
ago.
Don't you love it?
Yeah, no ketchup though.
Well, but they don't allow you to put
Yeah,
anything.
Not allowed to.
So I made the mistake the very first time I went there. And
Don't ask for ketchup.
No, I asked for mustard.
Ooh.
Honest to God, Ryan, the whole place went silent. Like, I just said, and could I have some mustard? The guy behind the counter, I've now become friends with him. He was like, what? And the whole place went silent. And where in my mind I went, ruh-roh, was that a bad thing? Well, we don't do that here. And if you want mustard, then you're in the wrong place. And he said it just like that. And I went, well, no, that's okay. I guess I won't have any mustard. But they're so juicy and they're so gooey and they're so good. You actually don't need any condiments on it. It's so good, that burger.
Yeah, so if you learn something, go to Louie's lunch.
Yes,
Yeah.
in New Haven, on Crown Street.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. It was great
Ryan,
having you
thank
here.
you for coming. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out my website, ravingryan.com. Go check out Gayle King, weekdays on 7 to 9 on CBS.
Yes, this morning.
Yeah, CBS This Morning. Thank you for watching. Reporting for Raving Ryan, I'm Ryan Anastasio.
Bye, Ryan's friends.